إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير حدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. رمضان مبارك. رمضان مبارك. هذا قول يجوز عند أهل العلم. This statement is permissible in regards to the people of knowledge, that at the beginning of Ramadan or the coming of Ramadan, that you can say Ramadan Mubarak. Ramadan Mubarak. May you have a blessed Ramadan or blessed Ramadan, which actually means blessed Ramadan. Well, alhamdulillah, tonight starts the first night of what we call Taraweeh. For those of you, inshallah ta'ala, even though we're living during the time of COVID, there will be many masajid that will be open. And a lot of those masajids will be working with guidelines, so limited space. So for those who have the opportunity of going to the masjid to pray, alhamdulillah, observe the guidelines if you go there. And for those masjids that do not practice that, alhamdulillah, if you're able to get to them as well and you don't find any hindrance in regards to performing. But for those who are going to be praying in their bait, just because you're not at the masjid, you should not forego or leave off the Taraweeh, the night prayer. You should not forego or leave off the Taraweeh. Even if you get some raka'ats in, some units of prayers, and long as you end it with an odd number, bi'ithnillahi ta'ala. But you should not leave it off or forego it, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, we are dealing with the book which is known as the Umdatul Ahkaam min khayri Umdatul Ahkaam min khayri kalam al-anam. All right, this is a tremendous book. We're doing the Kitab al-Siyam, the book of fasting for Umdatul Ahkaam, which is also the explanation of Shaykh Uthaymeen rahmatullah ta'ala alayh. Today we're going to cover Hadith al-Thalith wal-Rabi', the third and fourth hadith, because they both pertain to the same issue, which is Hukm al-Suhur. What is the ruling pertaining to taking they call it the pre-dawn meal, the meal that you take, the suhoor. What is the ruling pertaining to it? The first hadith is the hadith from Anas ibn Malik radiallahu ta'ala anhu. He says that the Messenger of Allah said, "Tasahharu, فَإِنَّ فِي السُّحُورِ بَرَكَةً." So the Messenger of Allah told the companions of Allah ta'ala alayhi, and this applied to all of the ummah, that they should practice suhoor, tasahharu. And then he explained that indeed in the suhoor, there is a barakah. There is a blessing that lies within the suhoor. All right? Tayyib. Shaykh Uthaymeen rahmatullah ta'ala alayhi, he says, tasahharu, when we explain the wording that's in this hadith, the sahharu kulu suhoor. It means eat the suhoor. يعني فيه لمن يريد صوم. And this is for the individual who wants to fast. For the individual who wants to fast, that individual should take a pre-dawn meal. And if it's not a full course meal, which it doesn't have to be, if it's just a sip, a drop of water, or if it's a couple of dates, هذا يكفي. This is sufficient as well. If an individual gets up and they don't get a chance to prepare a meal, so forth, they can take water, they can take dates, anything, long as you take something, is a barakah in it, that you should practice that. فإن في السحور الجملة التعلية والسحور بفتح السين. Now we have to understand that when we're talking about Arabic, you want to hear the word suhoor with a dhamma, okay, su, okay, then you're going to hear the word sahur, sahur with a fatha. When it's with a fatha, what's understood is ma yu'kalu wa yushrabu fi sahar. It is the food that is eating and it is the beverages that are drunk, that's drunk. So the food and the beverages that is drink during the time of sahar. Now sahar normally it's like the wee hours of the night, all right? So like the morning hours, okay? During the time of sahar. I fi akhiru layl, meaning at the ending of the night, all right? And when it has a dhamma, it means aklu sahur, okay? Meaning eat that sahur, eat those things regarding to that. The comprehensible explanation, Shaykh Uthaymeen says, in the deen of Islam, deen adl wa rahmah. And this is something that we as Muslims must constantly remember, that the deen of Islam is based off complete justice. There is no room for dhulm. Islam does not contain within it any injustice. No one is wrong within the deen of Islam. It is complete justice in its balance. There is no unfairness in Islam. And it consists of rahmah. The rulings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they contain rahmah. All right, not only do they contain wisdom, not only do they contain justice, but they also contain mercy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is aware of every servant. All right, and He is aware of every command that He has given, that it contains rahmah. يُعْتِي بَدَنَ حَظَّهُ مِنَ الرَّاحَةِ وَالْمُقَوَّمَاتِ وَيُعْتِي نَفْسَ حَظَّهَ مِنَ الْعِبَادَاتِ وَالطَّاعَاتِ. Now, here the servant is giving just enough in regards to his body, a portion of it, so that his body can do what? His body is giving just بَدَنَ حَظَّهُ مِنَ الرَّاحَةِ, from rest, okay? And from those things that were strengthening. And it's also the soul is giving, it is giving a portion of it from acts of obedience. So in other words, this month, it contains in it that the servant is able to fulfill the requirements of his soul, his nafs, and is also able to fulfill the requirement of his body. وفي هذا الحديث يخبر أنس بن مالك. In this hadith, Anas ibn Malik informs us that the Messenger of Allah commanded the fasting people that they take a suhoor, a pre-dawn meal, ليحصل لهم الغذاء وتماسك قوتهم, so that they can take some type of nourishment. All right, and the hour is going to be a little pretty much long with this month of Ramadan, because I believe that around like 7 or 7:30ish, Maghrib will be coming in. So you will be fasting, inshallah ta'ala, from anywhere between 5:45 all the way up until Maghrib, 7:30. Okay. So it's to take it وَتَمَاسِكَ قُوَّتُهُم, also to give strength. Okay. وَبَيَّنَ صلى الله عليه وسلم أن في هذا السحور بركة. And the Prophet also clarified to us within this hadith that the suhoor has a blessing. بَيَّنَ ذَلِكَ حُبًّا عَلَيْهِ وَتَرْغِيبًا فِيهِ. Why did he explain that? He explained it because it's a way of his encouragement for us to take the pre-dawn meal. Don't escape it. Now, somebody might ask, what if I do not take suhoor? Is my fast still valid? Yes, your fast is still valid. If you do not take the suhoor, it doesn't mean that you don't fast. No, you still continue to fast if you weren't able to take the suhoor. All right? It's strongly encouraged that a person does take the suhoor. That's what I said. You can drink a cup of water, it still will be sufficient for suhoor. Well, barakah imma diniya, and the barakah also contains the two portions, to the religious benefit as well as a worldly benefit. As far as the religious benefit, then it is complying to the command of the Prophet ﷺ and following his example, and also opposing the people of the book. Because the people of the book, those who are the Jews and the Christians, they also fast. But they have a certain system in the way that they fast. All right? So the Prophet ﷺ will go out of his way. There are many hadiths. It can be a time I can do a class on those hadiths specifically, showing us that we should differ from the people of the book tremendously. All right? So he says, وَمَا يَحْصُلُ بِذَلِكَ مِنَ أَجْرِ وَثَوَابِ وَقُوَّةِ عَلَى الصِّيَامِ. And also whatever of that can be acquired or achieved from the reward, okay, and the strength to help the individual along with his fast. وَإِمَّا دُنْوِيَّةِ, and the worldly benefits is كَالتَّمَتُّعِ مِمَّا يَشْتَهِيهِ مِنْ مَأْكُولِ وَمَشْرُوبِ حَلَالٍ وَحِفْظُ قُوَّةِ الْبَدَنِ وَالنَّشَاطِ. And that is the enjoyment, the person to take the satisfaction from those things which he enjoys, from eating, drinking those things which are permissible, and preserving the strength of his body, Okay? The fawaid, the benefits extracted from this hadith is the command. The fasting person has been commanded with taking the suhoor. وهو الاستحباب in the jumhuri ulama. And here, Shaykh Uthaymeen, he says that in this hadith, the command here is more so a recommendation. Okay, is that which is mustahab, is more so recommended, and it's not wujub behind it. It's not an individual obligation. In other words, a person is not deemed or deserving of Allah's punishment if he or she doesn't partake in the suhoor. All right, so he says, according to the majority of the ulama, is that it is mustahab. All right, he says, أَنَّ فِي السُّحُورِ barakah, and that the suhoor contains within it blessings, like we covered in the explanation, and that's both in a worldly sense and a religious sense. He says the third benefit is أَنَّ السُّحُورَ لَا يَقْتَصُّ بِنَوْعٍ مِنَ الطَّعَامِ. So here, for those who might have questions, what can I take? Do I have to take dates? Do I only have to be dates? Can I take water? Can I eat this? No. He says here, the suhoor is not specific to any type of food. All right. So in other words, you don't have to eat a specific type of food only to take suhoor. No, you can eat whatever you want to eat as long as it's halal. All right. You can eat whatever you want to eat as long as it's halal and it's in moderation, because moderation is still a command from Allah Jalla wa Ala in the Quran that we do not eat excessively. Okay. That's still haram. Eating excessively and wasting food is still haram. However, you eat in moderation and it's not a specific food type. He says the fourth benefit is كمال الشريعة. He says كمال الشريعة الإسلامية في مراعاة الأدب. The perfection of the Islamic legislation in regards to observing justice. All right. Another benefit that can be extracted is the last benefit here is حسن تعليم النبي, showing you the best way that the Prophet ﷺ would teach and instruct his teaching method. حيث يقرن حكم بالحكم حكمة. Whereas the Prophet ﷺ connects the ruling to the wisdom. All right, or he connects to the ruling the wisdom. In order that he can expand the breast, a person can feel more at ease. And the person can, and by way of it, be known of the gentleness and the greatness of the Islamic Sharia in regards that it observes these affairs. The fourth hadith is also narrated by Anas ibn Malik anhu, and one other narrator, which is Zayd ibn Thabit. So this hadith, the fourth hadith, have two narrators, Anas ibn Malik anhu and Zayd ibn Thabit. قال, he said, تَسَحَّرْنَا مَعَ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ, that they performed suhoor with the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, with the Prophet. All right. ثُمَّ قَامَ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ, then the Prophet sallallahu stood up to pray. قال Anas. So Anas, he said, قلت لزيد. Anas said, I said to Zayd, كم بين الأذان والسحور, about how much time was it in between the adhan and the suhoor? Okay, so when the Prophet ate, how long was it before the adhan was called? All right. قال قدر 50 آية. He said that it was the approximation of the Prophet reciting about 50 verses. All right. طيب. Shaykh Uthaymeen, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh, he says, here, لما كان من مقاصد السحور تقوية البدن على الصيام. He says, as we understand the objective and the purpose behind suhoor, what is the purpose for it? Okay, it is to give strength to the body while it's fasting, and it's to preserve a person's eagerness. Okay, he says, كان من الحكمة تأخيره. So the wisdom, he says, كان من الحكمة تأخيره, and the wisdom that is contained in delaying it. All right, there's a wisdom there. This is why the Prophet wouldn't eat so early. You find an individual waking up 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to bang out whatever I'm going to bang out, and this is going to be my suhoor time. No, the Prophet would delay it closely to the Fajr. Why? There's a wisdom behind that. Okay? He says, وها هو أنس بن مالك يحدث عن زيد بن ثابت رضي الله عنهما أنه تسحر في صحبة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في بيته ثم قام للصلاة ولم يكن بين صلاة فهو فراغ من السحور. He says, so here we have Anas ibn Malik discussing with Zayd ibn Thabit رضي الله عنه, that he had participated in suhoor in the in the company of the Prophet ﷺ in his home. Okay, so meaning that the Prophet ﷺ, meaning he was at the Prophet ﷺ house. Yani, he was in his ghurfa, he was at his house. He was in the Prophet ﷺ bayt, and he participated in the suhoor along with the Prophet ﷺ fi bayti. Then he stood up for the prayer. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ بَيْنَ صَلَاةٍ, and has not, which was not in between, it wasn't being in between the salat and the time that he spent with the suhoor, except approximately the time was مَا يَقْرَأُ قَارِئُ خَمْسِينَ آيَةً مِنَ القُرْآنِ, that it takes a reciter to recite 50 verses from the Quran. مُتَوَسِّطَ بِقِرَاءَةِ غَيْرَ سَرِيعَةٍ, and the recitation was intermediate. It wasn't too fast and it wasn't too slow. Intermediate. In other words, he wasn't Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen or Rahman Rahim. He wasn't reciting fast. Okay, hadr. La, he was reciting yani mutawassit, intermediate. It wasn't too slow and it wasn't too fast. The benefits extracted from this hadith is the mashru'iyyatu suhoor wa ta'khiruhu, the legislation of the suhoor in delaying it. And this is something that a lot of us make a big mistake, because you find individuals, they wake up and they'll be preparing suhoor, a meal, and the time for the adhan already came in, all right? And the prayer is there. And then sometimes it can overlap with the actual time of the prayer for fajr, because they still weren't making the food for the suhoor. No, this is not what you do. You don't take that time to prepare. If you're going to prepare your food, then get up a little bit ahead of time before you begin to eat your food, inshallah ta'ala, and try to delay it much possible you can. Give or take about good 15, I want to say 20 minutes max, but a good 15 to 20 minutes max in between the time you eat suhoor to the time that you have the adhan is called. All right. Now, for many of us don't live in places where they have the minaret, so they don't have the announcements where you can hear the adhan being called all over. But we have our own devices, our phones. We have different things that we can have where the adhan goes off. All right. So, nonetheless, don't try to go too overboard with the suhoor. And the second benefit, he said, from the fourth hadith, is that أنا بين سحور النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وصلاة الفجر قدر قراءة 50 آية. That the time that the Prophet ﷺ from that he would eat suhoor into the time that he would pray fajr will be about 50 ayahs reciting, like we said, 15 to 20 minutes, in that time. Also, the third benefit is the diligence of the companions. على اجتماع بالنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يتعلموا منه, and they're gathering around with the Prophet ﷺ in order to learn from him. Show you how eager the companions were. Fourth is كرم النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وتواضعه, the generosity of the Prophet ﷺ and his humbleness. This hadith shows us the way that the Prophet ﷺ was, with his generosity as well as his humbleness. The fifth benefit is مشروعية المبادرة بصلاة الفجر, the legislation of hastening to pray Salat al-Fajr. Okay. Now, my point I want to mention here is that we all know ourselves. We all know our shortcomings and our deficiencies, including myself. So we already know how much we were shot out in the previous months before Ramadan came in. So, inshallah ta'ala, we want to get a cap on that. This month, you want your home to resemble that of a Muslim home. You want your home to be preoccupied with a fasting individual or a group of fasting individuals that they are practicing Ramadan. So this month, you want to try to restrain yourself as much as possible, which you were freely given into before you don't. So you want to guard your prayers strictly. The children in your household, if they're not of the age where it's obligatory for them to pray, you still want to encourage them to pray. So if they come to you and they want to pray with you, they don't know what they're doing, or they just praying beside you, let them pray beside you. But let them witness the fasting Muslim. Let them witness the fasting Muslim. Let them witness your recitation of the Quran, or you're listening to the recitation of the Quran. And this is what you're spending your time with, your dhikr, okay, your prayers, okay, and you're being more generous. They might can get away with murder in the month of Ramadan because you don't want to holler and be too angry or be annoyed so much, but you want to take your time with being easy and gentle. This is that month where you want to definitely try to do that. So if you know you were shot out, then inshallah, you want to at least get a cap on it. That's my strong advice to myself and to you all. Try to get a cap on it and be diligent. Don't be lackadaisical. Don't think that you have another Ramadan, because you don't. All right? The mu'min does not believe that they're going to live to the next day without inshallah, let alone preparing that they're going to live to the next year. If you made it to this month of Ramadan, then you need to take it as it is, inshallah ta'ala, and hold on to it firmly, inshallah. Hopefully, again, I know that there is a lot of people that's going to be doing a lot of iftar and bringing people together. As was mentioned about إِذَا دَخَلَ Ramadan, when the month of Ramadan mentioned, one of the Salaf mentioned, is that you do what? That the individual, إِذَا دَخَلَ شَهْرُ Ramadan, when the month of Ramadan come in, that the person should tilawat al-Quran, do a lot of reciting of the Quran with ta'am, and feed a lot of people. All right? This is that month, the month of recitation, the month of feeding people. All right? So it's nothing wrong with you making an iftar and inviting brothers over, inviting sisters over, feed them, inshallah ta'ala. Offer to feed the individuals, because this is also increasement of those rewards, inshallah ta'ala. Whatever we said that was in our translation today, that was incorrect, definitely for myself, Shaitan, where was that correct from Allah, inshallah. Again, Ramadan Mubarak to you all, inshallah ta'ala. We take it day by day, salat by salat, inshallah ta'ala, ibadah by ibadah. Do not try to rush it. Your intention should be made the night before. Okay, we covered this before, but I want to cover it here. Your intentions for fasting, not the entire month, okay, but fasting every day, you should make an intention. And you do not, I repeat, you do not articulate or verbalize your intention. You don't have to say, I intend to fast the next day of the month of Ramadan, because this is a bid'ah. This is actually talaffuzu. I need to word it. Actually, the ulama explained this is an innovation. The Prophet ﷺ nor his companions have done so. Okay, but your intention should be set the night before that you're going to fast, and you should do that every day. Okay, that you should fast, inshallah. Subhanakallah, bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Thank you all for tuning in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.